Hi, welcome to the Rod and Cindy podcast. My name is Rod Lyman. We're here live at Beyond Today. How's everybody doing today? Nice, hopefully. Hope everything's going well. It's a little warm outside. I think it's 1,000 degrees out. A little warm. But this is Phoenix, Arizona, so we do not complain because we are Phoenix people.
We like to be hot.
We like to be hot, yes.
We like to be rebirthed every day in the heat.
Absolutely. So this is Sacred Feminine Energy, Part 4.
Yay.
How wonderful is that?
It's super wonderful, exciting. I can't believe we keep getting these beautiful guests to come to these podcasts to share this feminine energies and the sacredness of it. I'm speechless, actually.
You know, when we first started this, and the thought process of this, that we only had like a couple people say, "Yeah, let's be part of that beautiful energy." And you know what? That's true, beautiful energy. And you know, now we have a whole bunch of people now wanting to be part of this and wanting to hear this, and it's going really well. I'm really excited about this.
I agree. I believe a lot of people are feeling it and seeing it and hearing it. Some may not understand it. Some don't know how to get their messages out. I truly believe that, you know, this energy and these messages are important, you know. So thank you for listening in. And I am Cindy, a.k.a. CC, a.k.a. Sparkles.
A.k.a. Beautiful.
A.k.a. Cinderella.
Thank you.
Cynthia, Cinderella.
Wow, she's got a lot of names.
Hey you. I like the Hey You one.
Hey you.
Yes.
It's a good Pink Floyd song.
Yeah, well, it is. By the way, Cindy and I just had birthdays this last week, and we were really excited about it. That Cindy turned the big 50.
Yes, I did. All about changes, right?
Yes.
I turned 45, so I was really excited.
Liar.
What, excuse me? Anyway.
Happy birthday.
At 10 years on that 45.
Absolutely. What was funny is that we had a big group of people here at Beyond Today, and they were celebrating, having this wonderful time and everything, celebrating Cindy's birthday. And her mom gets up, and she starts explaining about how Cindy was a brat. From day one, Cindy was a brat. So I think,
don't know.
but see, she has this little puppy, and his name is Bailey, and this is a little brat dog. I love dogs. Don't get me wrong in that. But this dog, if Cindy's holding this dog, you can't come within 5 feet of Cindy. Or she'll be coming out of Cindy's arms onto you, clawing at you and biting at you and everything else.
Hey, you're talking about my Bailey.
I know.
Is it like mother like dog or dog like mother?
Yeah, there's a lot of commonality
I was just
here.
thinking protection. That baby loves you.
Mm-hmm.
He so protects me, loves me.
Absolutely.
I think that's beautiful.
He's a stinker.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, you too. Anyway, so who are you even actually talking to? Who is this person next to you?
Yes, the mystery beautiful lady. Her name is Delphina Joyce, Messenger of Joy. Thank you and for listening to us and coming and joining us. We are so honored. And please share a little bit about yourself. Thank you.
Well, Sydney, Rod, Mike, way over there, Facebook peeps.
Hey.
Hi. I'm honored and grateful to have had the invitation, first of all, and to come around and to just be given the opportunity to share my story and life and the learning. I mean, we know that we learn from other people and we learn from their stories what to do or what not to do or what to definitely do.
I like that.
So my name is Delphina Joyce. It means messenger of joy. Delphina comes from the Oracle of Delphi, and that's where divine messages were delivered. And then joy, it means journey options you choose. And the root of it is basically one's blessing of divine will, of grace, of your opportunity to be who you are, and that we are here and we've been given the gift of free will. And that's what joy means. That was what I received in Revelation when I was learning and growing. And you know, people always said, "Oh, you're so positive, you're so happy." And I said, well, if I'm happy, but it's more than happy, what is joy? How can you be an embodiment of joy if you really don't understand it? And my study led me in revelation, in what some people say download, just in meditation and quiet, receive the message of what joy did me.
Wow.
Wow, that is beautiful.
That was wonderful.
Exactly. Wow. I can hardly wait to get into this. This is going to be pretty exciting then. I've known you for quite a long time, and I didn't know that story about you. That's pretty cool.
Aww.
Thank you.
I know. Just real quick, when she was sharing, it's still going on. The back of my head is all tingly. It's just like someone's just playing with my hair, and just enjoying listening to you, I suppose. So this is exciting. I guess we'll have to do some commercially kind of things right now. Rod, go ahead.
Well, we have
Thank
to
you.
pay a few bills. That's what it
Yeah.
is. Well, first of all, speaking of paying bills, we have to the right of us, we have the one, the only Mike.
Yay.
He's
thank
known
you,
by
Mike.
Mystic Mike, Magic Mike, or just Mike.
Insurance, Mike.
Insurance Mike. Yes.
Marvelous, Mike.
And Marvelous Mike.
Ooh, there we go.
That's in second grade.
Hey.
Thank you.
There you go. Or beautiful Mike.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
For all your insurance needs, call Marvelous Mike, the Maverick. Sounds like that was pretty good.
That was very good.
You like
What
that?
kind of
yeah?
insurance?
Health and Medicare.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, real fun stuff these days.
That's good. Well, you need a knowledgeable person to make sure that you have what you need to cover yourself in case of whatever situations, on top of the fact that you're required to have insurance too. So
There you go. Yes. Good plug. Thank you, Bill.
you're welcome.
That was really good.
That was really good.
So one of our first sponsors is Teresa Marie. She's here at Beyond Today. She works Monday through Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 5:15. She does massage, Reiki, and she does guided meditations. Come in and try her foot detox or her cupping. She does a lot of stuff. Her price is $40 for a full hour.
Imagine that.
it's
Unbelievable.
lovely. Wonderful.
It's amazing.
Right.
Have you had the opportunity to experience? I have actually had the opportunity. In fact, I posted on Facebook after I left. I was just, you saw my hair, you saw my face. I was so relaxed. So she's
pretty amazing, isn't
she
she?
is, yeah. And she used
Absolutely.
hot rocks. And next
Yep.
thing I know, I was like,
Yep.
oh wait, did I do that? No.
Well, you need to text her at 602-487-6938. That text again is 602-487-6938. That's Teresa Marie. How beautiful is that? Awesome. So, the next person is Delphina Joyce is sponsoring her own podcast. What do you think of that? Hello. And how can they get a hold of you, and what do you do?
I can be reached by a cell phone, and my number is 480-828-3667. And my specialization is joy coaching, and I do practice hypnotherapy as well as Reiki. And I really enjoy working with people, aside from the fact that I'm in my doctoral program, which is totally different area. You've got your academia, your metaphysics, and you've got all these different areas, and neither one nor the other is any better. So I've been graced in the opportunity to have both areas in my life.
lovely. That's wonderful. Good for you. Good for you. Because a lot of people don't, So it's wonderful.
Yeah, school became my friend.
Wow. We're also sponsored by Beyond Today. Did you know that? Beyond Today, you can come in do meditation, continuing education work. We have 22 different practitioners here. You can get almost anything you want at Beyond Today. And you can reach
Anything,
them.
Rod?
Almost anything, I said. Nice one. So we're getting kind of crowded in here that's coming in. It's kind of nice to have. Hi, everybody out there.
Hello.
Yep. Beyond Today, you can reach them at 602-374-4926. That's 602-374-4926. You can get a hold of Cindy or Rod also there. If you want to sponsor this, you're more than welcome. Go ahead and give us a phone call and be a sponsor of one of our podcasts. These podcasts would be one of those that I'd want to sponsor.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I myself do structural work, and I'm a medical intuitive, and Cindy does.
Energy work with color infused with it. It's a lovely thing. Color has its own vibration, and so does energy work, and put it together, and wow, what an amazing thing.
So we're going to have to move this right along here.
Sounds good.
Delphina,
Oh, my turn?
how are you doing?
Well, now that you've asked, I'm doing lovely, Rod, and I'm excited to talk about the sacred feminine and where we're at. And we had begun the conversation, and I said, well, what is it that I need to talk about? And Cindy just talk about your story and where you're at and what had happened and what I shared with her. And tap in anytime, please. But what I shared with her was that in my younger years, I had a very strong energy and action, get it done, do what you got to do, just very, very action oriented. And I went through a process where I just started to discover more of who I am. And through that process, I had my thyroid removed. And I also had the gift of vulnerability and being humbled. And it was through that experience that God blessed me with more harmony and balance. And I was very good at fulfilling goals. And what happened was I learned to love myself more and love others and appreciate people. And to me, that was the awakening of the sacred feminine within, because I became more gentle and loving. And now I can listen more.
Oh, very good.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that, just kind of, in a sense, if you will, I guess a little bit more the masculine side, just kind of run, go, do, and, and then you're right. You have this, traumatic thing happen or this, moment, this awakening or what have you. And wow, it humbleized you and brought you to this sacred feeling and the sacred thoughts and emotions and, the whole other side of you that was already within you anyways. You unlocked that.
Yeah.
I think it's lovely.
I hadn't hardly ever cried. I was such a strong and grounded person that I didn't have as much emotion. I had emotion, but I didn't feel it as strongly. And now in my presence and where I am, I understand anger. I understand the power of it. I understand sadness. I understand misery. Emotions that I'm sure I had. I didn't understand them, and I don't remember feeling them or experiencing them. And there was a time in my life, Cindy and Rod, where I didn't understand why people, if they were having a tough time, just get out of the rut. You're having a tough time. Just think positively. Mind over matter, right? We hear that all the time. And really, after my own personal experience of transformation, it offered me the opportunity to show up in greater love. It's not always easy to do mind over matter. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can be emotionally, hormonally, there's all these other different things that can be happening within that cause changes. And what can we do as humans that love each other to love and do our best to understand? Because it didn't make sense to me. What are you sad about? It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. Get up, wake up, get dressed, put your makeup,
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I had these days and this experience when I was going through these challenges and having my thyroid removed, where I had to fight for my joy. I had to push to get out of bed. Mm-hmm. And I literally remember telling myself, today is the best day of my life, and every moment is getting better. And then I would let my feet touch the floor. But at that time, I was going through this process that I didn't even have the energy to curl my hair. I mean, when physically my body was changing. And how does this relate to sacred fitness? Had I not had that experience, I wouldn't understand what it means to be who I am in this now. I wouldn't have the level of love that I have for people. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be able to look into people's eyes and see them, their soul, and love them, no matter who they are or how they show up. Because prior to that, I may have had more judgment and criticism, whether I recognized it or acknowledged it, it was there, right? And now in this now, I can love people. and I can see them. And not only that, I can feel their hurt and their pain. And we're in a place in our world right now where we have so much chaos and so much trauma and difficulties that we need the sacred feminine to arise. We need that love, that humanity, that care to come out. And it's not about just being a woman. Men have this energy too. It's within them, and it's okay. We've spent so much time just badgering it, and in order to be a man, you must do A, B, and C, and it's wrong. It's a lie. It's a falsehood that we've bought into. We don't have time for that anymore. We are in a place that we need to be who we are in wholeness, not in imbalance. Because we are imbalanced as a society, and we see it because we see our wars, we see our famine, we see people that are starving, we see veterans that don't have homes. Yeah. We see so much difficulties and sadness, and where does it start with? It starts with us individually making those changes and purposefully knowing and showing up in love. And that means there are times when we have to go past our defaults, because we were raised a certain way.
Right. Wow. I'll be honest, I'm speechless. I brought tears in my eyes. It was beautiful. Go ahead, Rod. If you have something to say.
Put me on the spot here.
I know,
So,
sorry.
Delphina, what a beautiful way to say that. But I've known you for a long time, so when did this come about?
Well, Rod, I would say that all my life, I've had connection with unknown, the things that we can't define. And it was really probably in 2008, I would say. I turned 33 of all years, right? 33, that was, we know, when we look at Jesus' story, he was 33. And I turned 33, and I was going through some challenges, and I was saying, is this a midlife crisis? What's going on here, right? And really what happened was I started to seek, and I started to pray and meditate, and I just I had everything that we could define as beautiful. Had a $500,000 home, had a beautiful family, had the love of my life, my sweetheart from when I was a kid. We had been together for 20 plus years. I had all these beautiful things, and yet I couldn't figure out what was missing or what was wrong and why I had this peace. And the irony was and for me as a Christian, so I'm a Christian, I had already had the Holy Spirit when I was 9. I received Jesus into my heart, but I hadn't really tapped into the connection of the divine within. Mm-hmm. I had these ideas of life and how it should be, and I couldn't figure out why I had sadness or hurt. And people say, oh, well, there's energy vampires or projections, or you're holding the weight of the world, and you have those different things. And I do believe wholeheartedly that all of that is true. There is, as an empath, you can feel and sense and pick up on other energies and experiences, and probably some of that was happening. But for me, more, Rod, what was happening was I was awakening and becoming more alive. And my experience had to do with breaking, and that break was the releasing of my thyroid. And the thyroid is your throat chakra. Mm-hmm. And what was so amazing to me was that I'm a very expressive and articulate person, but in one relationship, I couldn't do it. And I lost my voice. And it was through this unraveling and this breakdown that I rediscovered my voice. Totally different. I mean, it's kind of harsh when I say this, but I remember when I lost my thyroid and I was going in for surgery, and I said a prayer, and I said, God, if you bring me out of this, bring back my voice. You know, how if I'm going to come back out alive, you know, then let me know, and forgive me for my vulnerability and harshness when I say this, but I said my bullshit barometer decreased because I spent so much time saying the right things, being the right way.
Oh, yeah.
Being that perfect person, right? That Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
That I forgot about who I mean, look, I didn't do my hair and I had a face peel and I'm on video, right? I'm shedding literally in a pill, right? And that takes self-love.
Sure. It
To
does.
be able to be who you are and be vulnerable and be okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Be you.
Be you.
Exactly.
Be you.
But see, there's people like us that don't see that. We don't see the hair or the face or anything else. We just see the love that you exude. And there's a lot of people like that. It's not just myself, and that, you know, we don't see that. The physical part and the physical being of somebody is just candy.
Yes.
You know, everything else is soul food.
Yes, yes.
You know?
And that's propaganda. Like, what are we sold in mass media? We're sold perfection.
Exactly.
Oh,
Think
yeah.
about the female. The female's only beautiful if she has acrylic nails and she has eyelashes and she has enlargements and beautiful, right? It is
yeah.
these surface level things that make us perfect and beautiful. And that's what we buy into because in our world, who we are as we are is not perfect.
No, absolutely
And
not.
that's a lie. We are perfect as we are. Every silver hair, that's a sign of wisdom.
Are you
know?
talking to me when you
Yeah.
said that? Okay, thought so.
About us.
Yeah, sorry. See, I was lucky. You know, I didn't grow up in that. We didn't have a TV until I was 14. You know, I listened to macabre radio stations. You know, there's no really magazines. We didn't have a library even really. And where I grew up at, it was really backwoods stuff. And so, but it was part of who I was. Is that I grew up on a farm basically. As I grew up around animals in a very small town. But who I was from day one is that I never saw somebody for the physical of what they were, unless they were strong and tough and things like that, and they could throw a bale of hay over the fence and that. It's like, wow, you're strong. I could see that physical aspect, but the beauty was what came out of their mouth and what came out of their heart, and that was the whole made them beautiful or not. So I think you're beautiful, dear, in many ways.
Thank you.
So. Well, you're the one that pointed out the peel and everything else, and that was something I probably would even not even noticed until you pointed it out.
Yes. Why? Because we focus on the physicality. We meaning the general population. And I'm not saying to have any of those things, the nails or the implants. I'm not saying that's bad. That's not what I'm saying.
No, you
Because you can choose to do anything that you'd like to enhance your physicality. Right? That's what joy is. Journey options. You choose.
didn't. Right.
What I am saying, Rod, and what you're referring to is that through your eyes, you see beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Through my eyes, I see beauty. It's a choice. It's an awakening. It's a knowing. It's knowing that people are divine and who they are. Regardless of their physicality, regardless of their situations, they are divine beings. And we get stuck in the visual and in the physicality. And that's unfortunate because we can't always see past that. It's difficult to see past that.
Well, do you think that's part of everybody, that they look in the mirror and they see their problems of themselves? And first and foremost, and that we're worst own enemies, aren't we? We look in the mirror and see it first, and then we have to point it out. And that, are you looking at my zip? Are you looking right at that? Are you looking at that? It's like you're pointing things out to people, so because you feel self-conscious about it already.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're our own worst enemy, so we point out what we are self-conscious about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we're big banners, and that is like you walk out of the house going, I hope nobody knows, hope nobody noticed. Did you see that? Did you see that?
Oh my God. Are they looking at that?
Are they looking at that?
Did they notice?
But it is. That's the whole thing, is that we
Uh-huh.
walk out with the whole intent that we don't want anybody to look at us, so we try to feel invisible. And what we're doing is we're shutting down our spirituality, who we are, and we're shutting down us.
Yes.
Our physical's right out there in
Yes.
front of everybody.
Yes.
And so now it takes all the blunts and then taking everything on is like, I can do this and that. Look at me.
Uh-huh.
I have a zit.
and that brings us back to, what does that have to do with sacred femininity?
Exactly.
It's for me, it's a self-love.
Mm-hmm.
It's a love within. It's a knowing that aside from this physicality, I am worthy. I am worthy. Everyone is worthy. And there are experiences that people go through that breaks them down, and at a subconscious level, they lose that knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And so as they grow, they carry, or they can carry, I don't want to, send that out also, because we can always grow and learn through that. But there are things that we experience in our life that we just forget. We forget about who we are. And that is affecting us negatively, because we're grasping for other things. We're grasping for power. I mean, look at our world and our some of the things that are happening globally. We don't care about our world and the weather and the climate and the water, and we're going to need all these things, but there's other things that are pulling at us, and we're losing the fact that we would want to have sustainability as humans.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do?
I think individually we seek it. And it's an individual journey. For me, I began to ask and seek and tap into divine knowledge, and I asked, what does joy mean? Because I'm not feeling very joyful right now, and joyful at the time was. They say the difference between happiness and joy is that happiness is a state of, it flees, it comes and goes. I can be happy about this experience, and whereas joy is always my journey, my options. I choose. That never leaves me. It's not a feeling. It's not an emotion. It's a gift. It's a knowing. It's part of the I am. I would say, the I am presence of this is I am joy, free will. It's a gift that we got, and there is a difference between happiness and joy. So, Rod, what I would say is that it goes back to each individual's willingness to seek. And people say this all the time. Well, in the Bible it says, seeking you will find, knock and the doors will be opened. And it's true. It's true. Now, at the same time, when you do that, you have to be willing to listen.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like your heart probably has to be open, and you have to be awakened to something to see that and feel that and receive that, the seeking and the doors.
Yeah. I could have taken the thought that losing my thyroid was going to ruin me forever, because losing my thyroid changed who I am. I'm more emotional. I'm more awake. I'm more alive. I have different sensations in my body that I didn't have before. That's a gift.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a gift, to be able to feel, to cry, to have emotion, to sense someone's sadness, and to be able to love them and pray for them and touch them and hold them and be okay with that. That's a gift. Mm-hmm. I had this conversation with God, and when I found out that I was going to have my thyroid removed, and I was mad. Oh, I was mad. I said, I'm talking to God, God's probably laughing, but I was talking to God, and I said, God, what do you mean I'm going to have to take a pill every single day? If I don't take this pill, I'm going to die. And I knew this because I have to take a thyroid pill because my thyroid's gone. And if I don't have my thyroid pill, I'll die. And I was angry about that. I don't want to be dependent on the medical system, right? Talking about Mike and insurance, right? Because they deny stuff, you know? You have to fight with your endocrinologist to get your pills kind of thing, right? And for me, it was like the sense of lack of control. Oh my gosh, I'm giving up my freedom. I'm giving up my control. And God says to me, Holy Spirit says, you're already dependent on me. You need oxygen to breathe. You need water to survive. And I give you all that. And all of a sudden it made sense to me. I was like, oh, you're right. You know, and to me, it had to do with this level of faith and trust that I didn't have until I was in such a place of vulnerability to believe that I'm always safe. I'll always be loved and always be cared for, regardless of my situation or where I'm at. You know? And that's what sacred femininity has to do with this. It's this level of trust, this level of knowing, this level of connection to a higher being, to a higher knowing. And people have different names for different things, and we're not necessarily going to get into all of that. If anything, I would say that we just walk away knowing that we have self-will, journey options you choose, and that you can move into a space of love, and you can ask, and your questions will be answered. They really will. But in that presence, you have to be willing to be quiet and to listen. Because the answers, that, you know, before I got the message about my thyroid, I was saying, why am I sad? Why? What's going on here? I got everything. A beautiful, I had a steam room in my shower. Right? I mean, this is how...
So you had everything and nothing, actually, at the time.
Yes, because I didn't have that sense of knowing. And here I am now, and that was, 2008, 2009? 9 years later.
Wow.
9 years later.
Well, it's just lovely to hear you share your story, because through that journey, it did bring out the soft side of you. And it's not to say that, you know, the feminine energy is all about softness. There's some strength in there, too.
Heck yeah.
I mean, look what, you know, that energies can do, or even just as female humans, you know, we know what we have to offer. And so I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there listening to your story can certainly relate. I know there's a few things you had mentioned that I even, you know, relate to. And I was like, wow, you know, I'm sure there's going to be other people out there too. You know, like the whole pleasing people. I was that person too. I always wanted everybody to like me, you know. I didn't want to, you know, nobody not to like me, and so I do anything and everything so everybody would like me. And you know what? One day I was just like, why? You know, it just, why do I need to go out of my way to make sure everybody likes me? What the heck do I care? You know, if someone doesn't like me, it's okay. You know,
I like you.
I like you.
Thank you. Thank you. But if I felt like I did something to hurt someone, or if maybe I felt like a weird vibe from them, they didn't want to talk to me anymore or something, I'd beat myself up internally, you know, just going, what did I do? What did I say? Oh my gosh, you know, what can I do to fix this? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, why? It's not necessary. You know, we are still on our own journeys and doing these things, and it's okay, you know. And then with that transition of me coming out of that pleasing thing and that extreme, let's just say, okay, there's okay to please, but extreme is not good. Like a little bit of worry is okay, but extreme worry is not okay. It was also, I believe, my own awakening and what I was feeling and going through. And I suddenly did the same thing. I started just feeling this, not that I didn't have a lot of love anyways to share with my family, but it was a different, it felt like a different kind of love. And I wasn't quite sure at the time where it was coming from. But I just knew that something was different about it, and it felt really good to me. And it brought strength within myself, and where I could actually speak my true truth. And that's, for the last, I don't know, 8-9 years myself too, have been in this, way, let's just say. And it's just so wonderful and lovely, and you can feel other people and see things and hear things, and yet be tapped into what they may be going through, and I'll have a glitch now and then where I'm like, how you're saying, why can't she just get out of it? And I stop and think, whoa, that is not fair for me to even have that inkling of a thought, and if I do, I'm going to turn it around and have compassion for them. And whether I understand why they can't get out of bed or not, it doesn't matter. It's not for me to understand. It's for me to just, be okay with it and send the love to them and let them figure it out. But I believe the more loving energies you can send to a person or a situation, the higher the vibration will be for that person or that situation to evolve and to move forward.
Cindy, it's beautiful sparkles.
Yay, thank you.
That you say that.
Thank you.
I was having a conversation the other day, and we were talking about relationship. And this person was sharing with me that the relationship they had been in, that the person that they were with was struggling with some challenges. And because of that, it was resulting in some behaviors that were a bit sabotaging for that, self-sabotage for that person. And I was speaking with that person, and what really was impressed upon me was that this person's ability to love this other person but not take on that person's work, if you will, because this person, what I admired so much was that this person had actually done the work to reflect, to meditate, to love, and to understand that I can hold love for this person, and I can be present for this person, but I don't need to take on this person's work in order to be a loving presence. And it's so easy for us, and this may be a general statement, I haven't actually researched it, but it's easy for women to do that because we're so loving and we're so nurturing and we're caregivers by nature, I would say. You know?
Absolutely.
And so it's, we don't want people to be sad. We don't want people to hurt. We don't want those harsh experiences. And so we want to fix it. We want to make it all better.
Right.
And there's power in the experience. There's power in the healing. There's power in the journey. And my heart says wholeheartedly that's what we can do in this now, is to hold that vibration, to hold that knowing.
That space.
Yes, that we can still be loving, we can still care, and we can be gentle and strong at the same time, because water can be a drip, but sooner or later, think about erosion. As it goes, it breaks down the mountain as the water goes through, and it doesn't have to be a big mass storm, but it's consistent. And to me, that's how I feel, and I experience the flow of love, the flow of femininity, the flow of care, and that it's not necessary for us to be in the experience so much as we can hold space for the experience. And the space that we choose to hold is love, strength, courage, peace.
And to be there to listen to and everything. You're absolutely right. I think that's the key to all of that, is everything you just said. Absolutely.
So let's throw a little mixer in there. How about men? How do you see men awakening to this in their feminine movement?
Oh, you can see it now. Okay, so there was this idea that men must be breadwinners. They must go to work. They have to work hard, and you're seeing men just grow in their choice of fatherhood and how they want to show up and care for their children, and the taboo of a man staying home is starting to dissolve. That it's okay. Take physical touch. There are certain ideas that, to hug is, what is the word I want to say? Like to show that physical, to cry, that it's a sign of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely a lie. It's a falsehood. But we have thoughts and we've been raised a certain way to be branded, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
A brand of a strong man is this. It's wrong.
Cindy and I have been having this conversation a lot lately too, because it's the older generation, and I'm not saying old people, but the people that still are stuck in their old ways and that they look at a man that wants to cook, the man that wants to take care of his children, the man that is very friendly and does women stuff. I will use my fingers as quotation.
Right.
That is less of a man. He should be one wearing the apron and skirt, and we have actually just run into that not too long ago. Is that people are still in that asinine idea that that's a man. It's not a man if he's out cooking, if he's doing this and he's doing that. That's not a man.
Wow, Rod, I'm so glad that you bring this up, and this is all public that we're talking about, but as a woman, I would prefer to have a man that's loving and caring, and I think about when you talk about intimacy, well, I'm certainly going to prefer a man that is willing to attend to my physical needs, that can, is it okay to rub your back? Is it okay to kiss you? Is it okay to touch you? Maybe a man wouldn't do that because that would be too soft or too gentle or paying too much to the person's needs. So, yeah, there are definitely some thoughts on that.
Right. I've seen men being called creepy for that, actually. Yep.
Because we're not used to it. We were raised in that men are a certain way, women are a certain way, and this is the way we live. And that's the point. Where we are in this now is changing. We are in a transitional time, and people are awakening, and they're going to continue to wake up. And part of that awakening is the balancing of energies.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I think just because there's house cleaning to do, it doesn't matter if you're male or female or mom or dad or what have you. It does not even matter. What I want to say is I think it's wonderful, actually, if a man wants to help clean. And if they don't, I think they should anyways. I had experiences where, I felt like I was doing all the work, and it's like, oh, hello, we're in this together. Can we do this together? I'll love you even more.
And that's it, together.
Yep. Well, you should have seen the look on her face, Cyndees' face, the first time I did her laundry.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not a laundry girl. He is. Thank you.
She looks at me going, "What are you doing?" She got all scared and nervous that I was touching her during laundry.
What?
Why are you doing my laundry? Now, that doesn't get dried. That gets dried. That gets hung up. This goes to this. And, there has to be rules with Cyndees' laundry. But
well, because I've done it for all my whole life, for the most part. And so I have a system. So that's all it means. You just have to, understand my system a little bit.
Yep.
She wants two downies, not one.
Oh, that is exactly right.
I know.
Absolutely. Yep. Mine's a 1 downy. I'm a 1 downy person, and Cyndees a 2 downy.
No.
And you have to put half the load and then put another downy sheet in, and then put
what?
the rest of the load.
It's true. There's got to be
That's
a
the
minimum of at
rules.
least 2 sheets. I will say that is for sure. But there are some clothes that don't get dried, just because.
Yes.
That's all I'm
fabric.
saying. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But it's all good. I mean, that's the whole thing, is that I had my awakening
Jeanette's
also.
out there laughing.
I had my awakening
She's
We're
also.
really
agreeing.
talking about laundry. That's
Dirty, clean, and
it's the
otherwise.
acts of service. It's the acts of service and the transition in the acts of
It's
service.
the little things. It is.
Amen.
It's those things that you just like, oh my gosh, I'm not used to this. And the same thing on the same hand is that when I had my awakening and I realized who I was and what was going on with me too, and that it was change of life. But I have a question for you, both of you, in that. Do we have to give up things to get what we want in life? Did we have to give up everything? All 3 of us here, as we are awakening and opening up, we lost all those materialistic things. Do we have to give that up?
That's a great question, Rod. I would say it depends on the individual and the process and where that anything that like materialistically, all those things, I regained so many other things,
Things that are priceless.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing as I traded a jet ski in, but yet I have an understanding more for femininity.
Mm-hmm.
I turned my boat in, but yet I have feelings for other people now.
Mm-hmm.
I turned my four-wheel drive in, but yet now I see things that I never saw before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's that feminine energy that you're feeling, and
Absolutely.
it's lovely.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I would say it's individual. Everyone has their own journey, their own walk. But I will say, Rod, that things can cloud our awakening, our opening, our knowing. Imagine, if you will, that you walk into a room and say you're a hoarder. And you have to have things. And you walk into this room, and in this room, there's so many things. There's so many things that you can't even walk. You can't even open the window because the window is all the way over there, and you can't get over there because there's everything everywhere. Okay? It's in those things that I can't open the window to let in the light or the fresh air because I can't reach it. Everything else is in the way. So, Rod, yes, there are times in our lives and our experience where we have too many things. Those things could be negative thoughts.
Right.
Those
Absolutely.
things could be negative experiences from the past that we have not released or healed or let go of. Those things could be sabotaging behaviors and choices. Those things could be too many materialistic things. They're things, Rod. And they're different for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I think it's a choice if you want these things or not. My personal experience, I was a little bit of a shopaholic,
I like shoes.
I liked things. My gig was as holidays. Every single holiday I had a few bins for each one. But I always liked to buy it, and I as I grew older and then had my awakening, I realized what it was. I was empty inside. I was searching for something more than just stuff. It wasn't the tangible stuff that I was searching for. It was that love. It was the divine. It was the awakening. It was the connection to source. It was just my higher self. It was me. It was me I was searching for. But I didn't know that for all those many years. I just kept buying things, And it's kind of fun to have some stuff. Don't get me wrong, and it's okay
How many
to have
storage
nice.
sheds do you have?
Huh?
How many storage sheds do you have?
Currently,
Yes.
well, 5.
5 is change.
5 is change. I was right. I just turned 50, right? 5 is change. Plus my mom's house, her room. I mean, my room at my mom's house. Because I don't have my own place at the moment. That's the only reason why. But I do have a lot of stuff, more than I really could possibly even need anymore. But anyways, that was my thing, is that I know that I was just always buying things because I was searching, but I didn't know, but I had fun buying some stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I believe I was really searching is what the real core of this answer is.
Well, and the answer that I get from everybody else was that it's freedom. You're free to do whatever you want when you aren't tied down to all this stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
The George Carlin thing about stuff, we always want more stuff, then we have to get stuff for stuff, put stuff in stuff, and that's the whole concept of this, is that we don't need that. If we don't have that, we are free to move on and go. It's like the thought is like, I can't move because, oh my gosh, it's going to take like 6 trucks to move. I'm not free to move, I'd have to sell this and do that and everything else. This is freedom. This is letting go of just being and putting the trust in universe.
It's our personal evolution throughout this lifetime. That's what it is.
Good. So Mike's doing the little finger thing about this to wrap everything up and that. So
He said 4.
Yeah, I saw the 4 thing.
The magic number.
The magic number.
Number 4 again. Absolutely, I love it. 4 means what?
Does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? No? Well, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Sorry, Facebook lost us, so they're not going to get to see the end of this. That
we're going to hear about that.
We'll hear about that again, I'm sure. So
we love you, though.
We love you. You're not here seeing us, but anyway, Thank you, honey, for this beautiful, beautiful podcast. I mean, this is so gorgeous. I am ecstatic over this because it's, when Cindy came up with this idea and about of doing this, and she said, "Oh, well, you could be part of it." And I was like, "Well, I am," because to me, it feels like I was one of the first men of the female movement back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That I was more feminine than anything. And people always ask me about that. And I was like, it's just because I feel. I feel animals, I feel trees, I feel grass, I feel everything. And I see things and I see everything. And I've always been like that. So imagine a young man like that in a community of hardworking farmers, dirt farmers. That's a hard way to grow up. Even the dogs didn't like you. So
good thing you weren't in the city though too.
Well, the city, I think there's more of a mesh in that.
Yeah, true.
When you have 8 people in your high school class, that there's not much choice in that. 6 guys and 2 girls. The prom really sucked and everything, but anyway.
Draw straws.
Who's gonna get her? Anyway, and they're both little girls are my cousins. Anyway, so and it was even worse. But I just want to say thank you very much. I think all these podcasts have been so beautiful that you got to go back and listen to all the rest of them. If you guys haven't heard them, you got to listen to them. There's some really amazing stuff that's going on in these podcasts. I love them, and so.
Oh, me too. It's a beautiful variety of, colorful things that we're bringing to the table here with these podcasts, you again being our 4th one so far, many more to come. It is a buffet so far of a lot of, good entertainment in the feminine aspect and otherwise. And I believe that a lot of people can connect to all this. And it's just, I am so grateful for all of you ladies and men, coming through and wanting to be a part of this, because it's a huge, huge thing, I believe, right now. It's a great movement, and a lot of people are going to connect to it. A lot of people are searching. A lot of people are, going to counseling or trying to, or if you're not crazy enough like me, you can't go see a counselor, but that there's something out there that you're needing to hear, or, and it just might be that one thing, and that could be in that podcast that could just change their whole life. And I thank you for being here and bringing forth your story and experiences, to the table here. And excuse me. And thank you. And okay, I'm going to share it. I did get teary-eyed one time. I'm sure y'all heard. It's just beautiful. It's just so emotional for me. It's such a passion within me to do this and to hear these stories and just connect so much. So again, thank you so much, darling.
You are welcome, and I'm so grateful that you guys have taken the courage and you've tapped into your own intuitive guidance to do this, because this is a learning aspect. This is an opportunity to touch so many individuals, and you don't have to control it, but you got to show up.
Absolutely.
And you showed up, right? You showed up, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, we're on our 4th one. Yeah. And next thing you're going to be looking back and go, remember when we were talking about we should do some kind of podcast or something? Right? So
exactly.
Thank you guys for showing up. And you're right, Rod, you're probably one of the outliers. And there's this thing it's called the Happiness Advantage. And the gentleman behind that, I can't recall his name, but he did a lot of research, and he talked about right here where we are in this now, he talked about the need for us to love outliers, because it's the outliers, those are the people they're the unique individuals that you're like, it's those outliers that are going to change our environment. It's that one person that comes in and you're like, is that person really happy? Come on, it's Monday morning. It's only 8:00. And they're like, hey, good morning. And you're like, not yet. Right?
Absolutely.
But it's that outlier. So thank you for being the outlier, and may you continue to do so.
Absolutely. Thank you. Where again can they reach you, honey, if they need to get
by phone, 480. I'm on Facebook too, but 480-828-3667.
You're so
67.
Say that number again.
480-828-3667.
Perfect.
Did you hear that? One more time. 6'7". That's my birthday. 6'7".
6'7".
Yesterday.
Happy
birthday.
Okay.
Anyway.
Next. Thank you. Though.
Anyway, so So if you guys want to be part of this podcast, be one of the guests on the podcast, you can call us here at 602-374-4926. Ask for Cindy or Rod. One of us will answer your questions. Then we'll get you on here. We have some beautiful people that want to be on our podcast yet. So, but we get as many people as we can. Beyond Today is one proud sponsor of these podcasts. They love us doing what we do and want us to keep doing it. And I'm really excited about it. We've done quite a few podcasts already. We're on iTunes. We're all over the place. You just Google the Rod and Cindy podcast and you can find us. There's a lot of podcasts out there. I'm happy to say I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you.
How many beautifuls did we say today?
Oh, did anybody keep track?
I don't know. We're like 15.
Ooh,
All right.
that'd be cool.
Oh, wow.
Send
So-
it in.
Do you know? So this podcast, when it's released, the podcast after you be Jeanette St. Germain. Have you ever met her?
Cindy and I were just talking about that, and I said, the name sounds really familiar, but I can't get the picture.
She's out in the crowd
You're
right now, too.
right here. You could have been like, hey, it's
Hi,
me.
girl. It's me. Yes.
Because I'm thinking your name sounded so familiar, and I couldn't get the picture of your face.
Now
So
you
hold
have
on.
the picture of her face.
That was me taking a snapshot.
All right.
Oh,
That was
beautiful.
good. She's
Oh,
about
look
as-
at you're making her blush. How
you're
cute
about as
is
silly
that?
as you.
No, right.
All right, so we're going to have to wrap this up here, and Mike keeps poking at me saying, it's time, it's time, it's time, man. So from all of us to all of you, thank you. Have a good night. Good night, Delphina.
Take
Thank
care
you so much.
and God bless.
Good night, Mike.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you all.
night,
Blessings
Ron.
and love to all. Thank you.
Good night, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Good night, Mary Ellen. John Boy. Good night, everybody.